Well, we really appreciate you coming in to 360 and taking a look at some of our new products. You know, it's exciting for our engineering team and I, as a farm family and as an ag business. We try to take it to the next step. And we're really concerned about how you and I remain profitable in the market that we're in. And so at 360, as a nitrogen company, we talk about an input of nitrogen having tremendous impact on yield, but at the same time, second highest input for you and I. Fertility is second only after seeding. So the challenge for you and I is how do we balance? Obviously, yield fixes all things. When you talk about low markets, yield is the answer, isn't it? The higher, more potential we can take. But at the same time, we need to manage the bottom line, and we manage our inputs. And so if you look up on the screen right here, you see 6 ears of corn. You see the 3 on the left, pretty exciting. I'd say the population was just right. I know where these were taken out. That corn was dropped to 39,000. There's a 38,000 ear count. And so that corn's in the sweet spot. The field right close by, same rainfall, same weather, a different hybrid, but look at the different management in nutrients. We talk about the value of a kernel in length. So as we talk about a kernel in length on an ear, every kernel is worth 6 bushel to you. There's 10 kernels, 60 bushel that blew off due to lack of nitrogen. So how do you and I get it right? We don't know what the weather's going to be. You look at 2012 for me, all-time drought. Then we went to 2015, wettest ever on record. 2016, oh yeah, everything worked. Now 2017 is the year of variability. We got corn all over the place in Illinois alone. You don't have to drive very far here. You'll drive in some really, you go to the north 10 miles, you're going to drive in some really dry pockets. And then you go too far the other way, you're going to run into some really wet pockets. And so it's the year of variability. So what's the answer? Well, at 360, we talk about it all the time. We talk about base plus. What's base plus? That's where you and I would come in with 80 to 100 units of nitrogen, and we put it on pre-plant or with the planter. And then we take a wait and see look. And we would say, let's just wait and see what nature does. And so I sit and wait. I know that we can never have a bad day in corn production. That's an absolute given. You and I can never stress corn early. If we do, it's going to respond, and you're going to see problems like this, and you're going to have those 60 to 100 bushel hits. So, the goal for us is to get corn to where? To mineralization time period. When's mineralization happen in the States here? Oh, now June 12th, July 12th time frame in there. The mineral, the soil starts to fire up, and nature starts to give back free nitrogen. How much? A lot. The gentleman sitting in front of me here with the black and tan shirt, if he has a 4% organic matter, he's got the ability for that soil to give 20 pounds per percent. 4 times 20 is 80 pounds free. It didn't cost you a dime. And so for you and I, we need to figure out how do we capture that. And so if we go out and put it all on at one time, first of all, you got to be really, really smart to be able to do that in November. If you're telling me you're a once and done application in, and that happens in November 7th time frame, you pull an hydrous applicator through, and you go stick your finger in the air and you go, I think I need 230 pounds of nitrogen to finish the race in September. I don't know how you're ever that smart. And you could be, and it might work for you. I'm afraid you're either going to run out or you put on too much. In 16, you put on way too much at 230. You could raise 250 bushel corn. We raised 260 bushel corn on 130 pounds of nitrogen. How did we do that? Well, we let nature work for us. So I like to wait. And in 2015, in the flood, I had to come back and put more on, but I didn't have anything at risk ahead of that. So let's take a look at how it works. We talk about Y drop that you see here in this sprayer. Here's a young man at the Hagee coming through corn just about the tassel. What's he doing here? He's finishing the race. He had on 100 pounds with his planter. He waited through the summer. He looked at nature and he said, you know what, I need another 80 pounds to finish. And so he's applying at the base of the plant. It's all about positioning of nutrients. So the wide drops coming through there, and the hoses are right there next to the stalk. And it's all about timing and placement. You're going to say it all day long. Timing and placement, timing and placement. And so we see that, we realize that if we can put it there, it makes quite, you say, wait a minute, Greg, it's on top of the ground. Do you realize stem water, the way God created corn, as it rains, all that water funnels into the stalk, and it funnels down around, and it goes right around the root system. How much more is around the root system than the center of the road? What do you think it is? So if you get a 1/10 of an inch of rain, how much rain do you think the root system sees? 8/10. It's 8x. Whatever you have. If you had an inch of water, you got 8 inches in the root system. And we measure it, we know. And we get it, you'll see it in our videos. If you go look at 360provinggrounds.com or on the Facebook website, you're going to see all this stuff. We do it in detail for you on videos. And it makes you and I start to think. Your job, my job is to make you nervous. Your job is to think about it. I challenged last year over here. If you leave here and you don't know your weakest link in your operation, and maybe you say, well, I can't write a check for that today, Greg, I understand. But you and I better know the next step for us to get better. This $3 corn, it's not going to be $5 next year. Unless we have a tremendous disaster. We got elevators that are half full. We're at $3. I hope to be in a $4 corn market right now. It's not going to be. And so you and I have got to get better at what we're doing. And so let's take a look at this picture here. 2 different places to put in. The coulter's putting it what? Underground in the center of the row. Wide drop's doing what? On top of the ground right next to the stalk. Let's draw that out and take a look at it and see. Because the reality is we've tested this year after year. And we look at nitrogen placement. And you realize that as we talk about nitrogen, that where it is makes a huge difference. Let's draw these corn plants out here. We'll get them drawn here quickly. So we're going to take on this row, we're going to take that coulter, and we're going to come right down the center. So that's at the 15-inch mark. Over here, we're going to take wide drop, and we're going to put it on each side of the row. And then in this row, let's just put wide drop on one side. As we test this, for 3 years running, we have the same amount of N. We show a 6 bushel response year after year compared to the coulter to wide drop at the same amount. And you go, wait a minute, how's that possible? Well, we went to the University of Illinois, Dr. Mulvaney, and we told Dr. Mulvaney, would you do a test for us? And so Dr. Mulvaney did what we call traceable N, or nuclear N. So we went in a cornfield at B8, that's waist-high corn, and we put on 100 pounds of side dress. So we went in there and we did 100 with the coulter, and we did it with one side of the corn plant and the other. And when you see 6 bushel, there's no magic here. It's not like, well, there's some kind of magic here. That 6 bushel came because the wide drop on both sides had 25% more nitrogen uptake. The single wide drop had 11% more. And if you look at it on a slide, so we sent these plants into the university and their grad students there, traceable in, it never leaves. You always know where it's at. They ground the plants, they ground the ears. We had out of the 100 units, we had 60 left in the root system. We had 25 pounds of it in the ears and 15 pounds of it in the plant. And we're running these tests again this year. But at the end of the day, this is what it's going to take. You see this grower coming through with a deer sprayer with wide drops just like this, and he's in corn about 6 feet, 5 feet tall. It's a B10. B10 corn will be up to my shoulder. And you look at research and it says what? It took 25% of your N to get corn head tall. Then the other 75 starts to happen when you and I put on an ear, and silks, and a tassel. We go through pollination, and we finish that ear weight and all those kernels. So those are things that are happening there. So placement matters. Let me give you a real example. So Peter's farm, south of here. They use wide drop for the first time. His agronomist is a pretty good guy. He says, look, we want to raise 230 bushel on this farm. And they took it times 1.1 pounds of N per bushel. Ratio, And they said to raise 230, we need to apply 255 pounds. And he did. We sold him a wide drop system, and he come in the wide drop system, he said, I'm going to do base plus. So he put on 75 pounds per planter, and then he waited. And he started to let that crop grow. One side of the field had it all on, and it's growing, and he got his yield goal exactly. Hats off to him. Well, he missed it by .03, but he got 229.97. But on the other side, he came back and corn's at B10. And he put on 105 pounds. Why didn't he put on more? Because he tested and he didn't need any more. Why didn't he need any more? Because nature's soil gave him free nitrogen. So on this side of the field, he has 180 pounds. He's got 180 pounds and he raised 11 bushel more. And you and I look at that and we scratch our head and we say, wait a minute. So in other words, timing and placement makes quite a difference. The goal of my farm is simply this, and for you too. You should want to be not in the 1.1 bushel club. You want to be in the 0.7 pounds of nitrogen to equal a bushel. If you're there, hats off to you. Last year in our test, it's amazing. We raised 260 bushel corn on 130 pounds. This year at Proving Grounds, I said 2 years in a row, I can't figure out how to create yellow corn. Next year I will, because I'm not putting on any. I'm putting on 0 pounds of N, and I will raise yellow corn. So 2 years running, last year I did 80 pounds of anhydrous, and I waited for the corn to turn yellow so I could come in wide drop. And flashing green never happened. I said, I'm just beside myself. So this year I said, well, obviously 80 is too much. I did 30 pounds on one side of the row with a planter band. 30 pounds. You know what it's going to make? It's going to make 180 bushel corn. Did it turn yellow? No. It grew just like fine. Now the ears look like those ears I did on the right side of the screen. They're tipped back pretty severe. But it's still going to make 180. How is that possible? Mike and his team. The soil lit up there and they created a lot of free nitrogen. And so next year I'll figure it out. I'm going to get smart. I'm not going to put in there. But in this case, look where he's at. If you're in the 0.7 club, $3.25 corn, not that you laugh at it, but you say, I think I can live there. And so those are things that we're going to talk about and how we do it. What other things besides nitrogen? What about plant health? I'll bet most of us here sprayed gray leaf protection. We sprayed 100% of our acres for the Japanese beetle. Boy, I love those guys. Man, do we have sweet red. This is an Undercover. Undercover goes on the riser or wide drop. It can go anywhere on here. So we come in and spray the Japanese beetles. We had it set for rod to silk. All these nozzles are spraying from the side and up. And so if you look at the plant structure, there's 60% of your leaf openings are underneath the leaf. So we believe you should be spraying from the underside up. You get a lot more effective use of the product you're applying. And I'll show you what that looks like on water paper. The paper on the left had a top boom only. Paper staple on each leaf, top and bottom. You look at the bottom leaves, nothing. Look at the boom on the right, Undercover. This is sprayed at 15 gallons of water to the acre. And you look at the bottom coverage and the top coverage on the right and you say, oh yeah, that's what I want to do when I'm spraying Headline Amp or Draxar or any of the products that you and I use. Those are the things that are the goal. Here's a real life example. This farmer farms in Maryland. He's got a case sprayer, so it's 54 inches tall underneath the belly of that sprayer. He said, Greg, I couldn't reach the tassel of that corn. And I'm in there with a 54-inch sprayer, and I'm really bending it over if I'm spraying the Headline Amp, and I'm worried that I'm breaking some stalks. So I called the airplane, and I sprayed on both sides of the purple line, the pink line there, and you and I can see the difference. The difference is disease control. He had a gray leaf outbreak, 35 bushel response, more where Undercover was in the airplane. And so it's all about positioning a product for success. No different soybean. If I'm in soybeans, I drop the foot. Why drop off? I slide this down. Now I'm in there spraying for white downy mildew or any of the type of bean diseases that I might have. I'm in there. You'll see here on this sprayer that we have on the front of it some tactile wands, some tactile sensors. So why are we going after auto steer at 360? Well, we realize when you're spraying in taller vegetation, it gets pretty tiring by the end of the day. The sprayer, watching in tall crop as corn wiggles in the wind, it becomes a challenge. So we said, you know what? Let's put on sensors in front of the wheel here. And then at 360, we have the same model. We like to use as much of what you already own as possible. So if you already own a globe and a hydraulic steering device in your sprayer, we're going to take and utilize all that technology. All we did is we unplugged right at the base of the globe. So your globe is giving you the AB coordinates, and you're running through there. The wands in the bottom are going to be right along the corn plant. And they're going to know right where you're going to need to be. And so as they're running down here, they're saying, no, 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 no. The global points that are coming in GPS logic, you're too far to the left. And so we automatically, our software automatically shifts those points. So a very inexpensive solution to steering is, you add the wands, and we'll utilize everything else you have. In conjunction with that in tall corn, it's hard to know where the base of the Y drop is. And we want you to be 12 to 14 inches off the base of the ground, off this base. So we added a very simple solution. We put on a ground rod that follows the ground. It plugs into your existing sensor for boom height, and it doesn't know that we plugged it in. And now it's feeding right into your controller in the cab the exact measurement. So on the left wing, center wing, right wing, we now are in auto control off the ground itself. So let's demonstrate that. Let's take a look. We're ready to go. Here he's going to run up over the mound. You're going to see the ground sensing rod. As it comes up over the mound, it's going to start to raise the boom. So he's got himself on an AB line there, so he's not going to touch it. The rod's now in control. So as he starts to come up, the ground rod's going to say, uh-oh, I sense there's a difference. You see the Y drop moving up, see it move up again. As it starts to come down here, you're going to watch, you're going to see it start to lower. So as he comes down, it's going to say, uh-oh, we're too high. It's going to take it, let's continue to go right on down. If I grab a hold of it, and I just start to raise it up, and I'm going to raise it up, and I can say, no, no, you need to come down, and so this is just me representing ground terrain as you roll the top. So those are things. Simple things that plug and play to keep the cost very, very effective. Thanks, guys. What else are we talking about here? We're talking about nitrogen. Why wouldn't you and I want to put it on the planter? The planter's, to me, it's an ideal tool of choice. We know right where any seed is. We know right where the rows are. We know that you're planting corn while you're doing it. Why wouldn't you also want to do dual purpose? So we look at the industry, and we see three major pushbacks. Number one is, guys tell me all the time, Greg, I don't know which attachment to buy. I don't know what will work on my row unit. The second one is, Greg, I don't have any idea what kind of tank. Where do I carry liquid? On the planter, on the tractor? What's out there in the marketplace that makes it really easy to carry liquid? And then the new number one is, Greg, if you think I'm going to stop my 16 or 24 row planter every 30 acres to reload liquid, you got another guess coming. We are not going to stop. And so as a team, we said, let's go after this. If we believe nitrogen should be on planters, we believe it's so logical it actually drives yield. How do we answer some of these pushbacks? How do you and I get a solution that's very, very easy for them to use? So, now we know the corn plant knows the answer to all these questions. A lot of times in the company we have agronomists, we have engineers, we have farmers. There's always lots of discussions. And I always say at the end of the day, the corn plant knows what's right and wrong. So let's take a look at it. So first off, let's just talk about 32%. Let's talk nitrogen on a planter. So we know that 32% or 28% is the liquid UAN that's available for a corn plant. What's ideal? Well, let's just start with this. We believe that the band, without question, is the place for you and I to go. It's worth 2 packs of broadcast. So if you and I are going to ban 60 units, Ken Perry, Mike, consultant and agronomist would tell you, Greg, that's worth over 100 to 120 pounds broadcast. So it's very effective. It's really hard for Mike and his team to utilize it all. And so if we're going to put it in a band, where does it go? Does it go on each side of the row? Where do we think that it would be the optimum place? So we'll just draw here our little seed trench. We know we're going to put a seed 1 3/4 inches. As that seed starts to grow, it's going to put out little bitty hair roots or little seedling roots. We'll have the mesocyle, and then we always have a crown that's 3/4 inches below ground. You and I always know the depth of planting. You take from the seed to the crown, that mesocyle, you measure and add 3/4 inches. That's your planting depth. It never changes. You say, wait a minute, I live in France. I don't care if you live in Argentina, Brazil, France, New Zealand, America. It's the same. If you and I go out and we see a spindly little plant, and we dig him up, and we measure the mesocyle and add 3/4, and it adds up to 1 inch, we plant it in shallow. And that's just reality. So these little seedling roots are going to keep that plant going in moisture and some nutrients, not a lot. But he's living really off of mama seed, the starch in the seed itself. And that day's coming when that seed's going to dry up. And so this plant is putting out crown roots. Crown roots 1 and 2, it puts out 5 sets. And there's 4 roots to each set. There's your ones, kind of the wagon spoke. That's your one. Isn't it interesting how corn's created? It didn't happen. And 2s intersect exactly in between the ones. Well, that happened by chance. And then 3, the 3rd crown root comes right over the top of 1s, and so they stack in here. But we know that we call these your high dollar roots. 1s and 2s have got to happen. So when do you think this baton, when do you think this one quits and this one starts? It's right when corn is setting on rows around. That's nature's cruel trick. So we can never have stress in a plant when it's saying how many rows around. When the plant breeders decide that, it might be 18 around. There's some hybrids that would be max on 20. Maybe 22, I've seen a few. But most times it's 16 to 18 around. So you and I should go home. You need to go home and look. First thing you do when you get home, you shuck down some corn. If the row on your corn lines up from the butt to the tip, they're an A+2. My direction, my farm. If you tell me your corn has this, see this scramble mark right here? Right at this point? See how it's scrambled? It lost 2 rows around. When it loses 2 rows around, how many bushels do you lose? 20. 10 bushels a row. Every kernel in length is worth 6 bushels to you. Every row around is worth 10. If you and I put corn under stress, and we don't have the right amount of nutrients, we do the wrong tillage, we spray the wrong herbicide, we have a really cold snap. Nature has 3-4 days of constant rain of cold temperatures. The corn will stress, it has a bad day, and it'll set less around. So for you and I, we're really concerned about these 1s and 2s, and they grow down at a 30-degree angle. So at 360, we said, look, if we're going to ban nitrogen, we want it 3/4 inch underground at 2.5 inches to the side. Why 2.5 inches to the side? Because we know where every root's going to be. We already know the location. And then we're going to use nature to help us. 32% has a lot of salt in it. I'm always worried about sodium. Is this plant going to react to root burn? And so if we put nitrogen, not 2x2 or 2x2.5, we're going to put it at 3/4, and then we're going to let nature, as it rains, create this water balloon or this delusion of nitrogen. As it starts to move down through the profile, we dilute it, and all of a sudden, we're in the sweet spot, and these roots just create thousands of little hair roots when they grow into a band of nitrogen, and they're going to feed in there. And we're going to create what we call the ideal placement. So let's take a look at what it looks like. When you look at it, you can see we're going to be in the closing system. The reason we're in the closing system, I get pretty stressed. If we're going to do a 2x2 or 2x2.5, and you're on your unit shank, you better have something like Delta Force in there to hold that planter in the ground. If you hit hard soil, and you're trying to force a knife or a rolling disc in, you're going to create resistance. So we're only 3/4 inch for a reason. We want nature to dilute the product, and we want to go really shallow. So we said, we're going to come back here with the closing system. And we're going to run an 8-inch disc, the exact same angle as the closing tire, but only going to run it 3/4 of an inch in your soil. And it's a sharp disc going 8-inch wide. Then we're going to put a braided hydraulic hose, thin, small, right down in that slit, and now it has the ability to ride up and over cover crop, no-till, stalks, stones, any kind of obstructions. If you put a knife in there and you hit those kind of wads of construction, you're going to create a drag and actually in the seed trench itself. That's a real concern to me. And you'll see it out in the marketplace. Guys are taking chances of where they're into the seeding itself. And then we're going to put a chain behind it. So, as we look at it, you can see the 8-inch wheel. You can see the two hoses that are exactly 5 inches apart. And then you can see here where the placement of the liquid is. In this case, you can see my tape there at 5 inches. You can see that we removed 3/4 of an inch of soil. You can see that the seed itself is at 2 inches. And so we're looking for what we call the sweet spot for nitrogen itself. How about those starters? We know besides more than nitrogen, there's a need for starter out there. How does it look? And why? Why do we need starter? You say, Greg, we're in a $3.10 corn market, $3 corn market. Why do we need starter? Well, let's look at it. Let's pick on 1034 of it. Well, we can write 722.5 down into these columns. We're really going after the phosphates. This young plant early in its life needs phosphate. And if you can see that we get phosphate into it, you can see some dramatic yield increases. Last year, you looked at some of the stuff Kim Berry did at the Farm Journal study, 25 bushel response to starter. I'm like, man, I know I'm very well. I'm like, I'm not sure. I've done tests of starter for years and years. I would tell you 12 to 15. But we start to say 10 to 20. But what happens in the soil? Look at this little guy. You see the spike coming up? He's got a little bitty seeding root starting. And you see the thermometer there says 53.2. What's happening at 53.2? Is there phosphates available in that soil at that temperature? Really hard for that baby corn plant to get phosphates off the soil part. At 65 degrees soils, phosphate becomes readily available to the young plant. At 53, you and I need to put some kind of a band of product in there that they can feed on very, very easily. So, we know that 7.5 gallon of a 1034 is going to cost you about $18. And if you're going to add zinc, which you should, if you don't add zinc, I wouldn't do starter. If you say, I'm going to do starter grade, but I don't think I want to mess with a quart of zinc in it per acre, so I would definitely have a quart in per acre. And you say, I don't think that's worth it, I wouldn't do it. We've tested for years and years. So that's going to cost you $5 an acre. And then there's a new product out there called Avail. That's really a good little product, and that costs you another $5. So now we're up to $28 an acre to feed that baby corn plant. And you say, well, wait a minute, you just said we're at 310 corn. This doesn't make any sense. What are you talking about? So here's where we think the 360. We say we want you to jump in. But we believe we can design technology where we only use 50% of total product. Let's take a look at what it looks like. How do we think that way? So instead of being $28 an acre, we believe we can get you in a spot for less. So let's put the seed out here. The secret is this. Once you and I know where every plant, where every seed is, we start to win. I'm a control freak. You can see the way we design wide drop and undercover. I always want to know where the product goes. And so we know that corn is effective about in a 3-inch diameter young in its life of feeding. And you look at that and you say, well, maybe, why would we feed in here then? So if there's a seed every 6 inches, maybe we ought to just do the 3 inches. Because starter costs what? It costs $3 per inch is what it's going to cost you. So if we want to do a 50% reduction in inputs, why wouldn't we come in and put a dash of product if we know where the seed is, right over the seed itself? Let's call that System A. There's going to be some of you sitting in the crowd saying, no, I don't want anything on the seed. I want to know for sure that it's off the seed. So we're going to call that System B. In other words, you want your dash of product to be right in the center between the two. But once again, you want 3 inches worth. Then there's a ton of products out there that we all run. There's what? There's Gen 2, there's Huckstep shoes, there's Yet or Go Between, there's Howard Martin has one that goes in between, Dawn has one. And so we have technology that once we know where seed is, we can run with that and we can put it right beside the seed outside the trench. And we're going to call that version C. So I don't know where you're at. And there's strong camps in our own business. In my own family, there's strong camps. There's some that say it's got to be on the seed. There's some that says it needs to be right beside the seed. And so I watch with interest. And I say, well, you know what? Let's just work on it and research. So we'll be over in New Zealand here. October 1st, we start planting there. And we'll plant a lot of corn over there in October. We'll harvest in April. And we'll start here in April. We'll start planting. So we're going to put this all on research because I believe there is an answer to this. Right now I'm doing 3 gallon of 1034O. Okay? Enzyme. I'm adding 1.5 gallons of water to that. And I'm also adding some force to that, insecticide. And I'm putting through the back of my John Deere Raven pump. So I'm putting on 4.5 gallons to the acre. And I'm diluting a little additional water in there. I still want pop-up, but I'm always concerned about salt. I want to make sure we don't burn it. Why wouldn't I do this next year? If I can come in and put it on just over the seed for my insecticide and my starter, I think I'm going to add 3 gallons of water, 3 gallons of product. Now I got 6 gallons total, but I'm only using 50%, so I only have to carry 3 gallons per acre to the field. 100 acre field, 300 gallons in the tank. And I'm going to see if I can increase yields. With the studies I've seen, without question, we can take yields higher. So let's take a look at dash. Let's see what it looks like. We know you want to lay a dasher right over the top of the seed. So the dash valve has the ability to lay any amount, and we can control the length and the thickness of that product itself laid out either between the seed to the side or on top. It's going to mount in several different places. The one you see here is right in the seed trench itself. It's going to be putting it on the seed. The secret is, do we know, trying to get this to run, there it goes. Do we know right where the seed is? So we have a smart sensor right here, and as the seed exits the seed tube, we say, aha, we got you. We know right where you're going to land. Then we can come in, we'll firm it in with a seed firmer, and then we're going to put that liquid right on top of it. At the same time, we can go off to the side. This is a Huckstep shoe off to the side, 3/4 of an inch over. Every time the seed comes by, it's dashing. Dash, dash. You can see the seeds coming. There one seed. There one seed. And you can see the seed coming out. It's about 1 inch from the back of the Huckstep. And so we're reading that seed and we're positioning that starter for success. And so those are things that we're looking at. So we believe nitrogen on the planter, starter on the planter, is going to create us a profitable situation where we use less but raise more. So it begs the question, where in the world are we going to carry it? That's one of the pushbacks. I'm going to have Brady back up here. So there's lots of choices where we carry water, but I see growers struggling putting it on their tractor. Growers are telling me, Greg, I don't like to climb over tanks, and I don't like how wide they are going down the road. And it makes your heart start to pound, and I get it. I see growers put it out front. That's a 400-gallon lift going, it's out front here. The minute we load that tank, we put 4424 in the tank, and we took 3,500 pounds off the rear axle and added it plus the fertilizer to the front axle. And we're always worried about pinch points in here. How much corn compaction will corn grow in compaction? So we come out in the market and we said, look, we think there's a need for a streamlined tank, balance on the tractor, good line of sight, and absolutely doesn't stick out past the dual. So if you and I go through the bridge and somebody still tries to come through at us, we can then kind of sit there and relax a little more. So there's 700-gallon tanks, 350 on each side. If we loaded them all the way up, it's 774 pounds on the actual tank itself, and we only take less than 1,000 pounds do we transfer, so we got it balanced. And so it makes quite a difference as it comes. But we still haven't answered the big question, and that is, how in the world do I get a grower to do it that says, Greg, I will not stop? And I relate it back to grain carts and combines. I remember when we got our first grain cart. I mean, we thought we were something. Combine never stopped. Even in the wet spots where we were having trouble that year for drainage, we keep the combine empty. I told my dad, I said, I've never seen anything like this. The efficiency is double of the combine. 40 to 50% where the combine never stopped. So using that same logic, our engineers and our team said, why don't we come to the field, and why wouldn't we bring liquid to the planter where it never stops? Obviously, we can put a cone on both sides, depending which way the dirt's going. We can always stay in the right spot. And now we take something as simple as a gator. We put a 300-gallon stainless tank on it, 2-inch pump underneath the back. We add an extra axle, and all of a sudden we've created a device that's able to come out of a 60-inch spacing. So whether you have 20-inch corn, 30-inch corn, we don't create a pinch point. We're going to ride right on the wing tire and the planter itself. So the wing tire is sitting there, and we're going to drive right on top of it. And you say, I don't know about compaction. That looks like a problem to me. And you can see the wheel out to the other side here. When the planter turns around, when it gets to the end, it's going to come right back in this. So we took the penetrometer and we checked it. Top right, planter tire only out on the wing. 60 psi in that tire. It's a great big tire. And we measured the compaction right there in that tire. And you can see the compaction that's there. You can see the orange and the yellow load. Then we took the sprint system, loaded up a 300-gallon at 32%, and we measured the compaction. It's less than the tire, empty tire itself. Then we put them together on the bottom left. So if you look at the left and the top right and the caddy corner, we believe there's no additional compaction by bringing the gator already on top of a planter tire or a planter tire back on it. Then for grins, we took the bottom right, we took a Yetter tow behind it. And that 1,600-gallon cart stays hooked to the planter all the time. And so as it's going back and forth, every pass, it's got that weight, and you can see the compaction of there, and that'll get your attention. Because I can tell you that's going to get corn plant's attention. So, what's it going to look like? We're going to have a boom. It's going to have electric magnets on the end. When we power those magnets, it's going to engage, and it's going to lock in. We're going to have a 2-inch pump. Noel's going to be able to run all those controls from his left hand drop bar, and he's going to start the pump, and he's going to hook on the magnets, and all those things are going to go and work pretty seamless. So, how are we going to run this? For us, we're going to keep the tanks pretty empty. I am not going to pull in the field and load 700 gallons. I'm going to pull in the field and load them less than 200. Our tank, we're going to pull the gator to the field with us. We'll unhook it. We'll start planting the headlands. Our nurse truck driver will jump in the gator, load it, and he will immediately chase that planter and find it. And all of a sudden, we're keeping the center of the planter extremely light. The most we're going to carry is 300 gallons. And we're going to raise a lot more corn. The center of the planter, over time of research, is 12 to 15 bushels lost. I measure it every year. It's a pain point for us. Painful enough, I told our team, I would like to go that 90-foot planter just simply to get away from more centers in our 60s. It would save me $35,000 if it's service there. I told our guys, we ought to have an old 90-footer and just run in and park some of the 60-foot planters because a third less centers makes quite a difference. So, let's take a look at it, guys. Let's demonstrate it. So, he's hooked in. Right now, he's got the motor running, so he's pumping liquid. He's got an electric valve right here on the top of the boom. You can see it, I'll tell you when it closes. And so it just went closed just now. He comes up, he unhooks the magnets, and they're going to go around one more time. You can go on the website. You can type in 360provinggrounds.com, or you can go on the 360 website, you can go on Facebook. At 360, you can watch the videos there. So instead of inviting 2,500 of you to our farm, we decided to do it all virtual, and we did a lot more in the field. A lot of the craziness that we're talking about doing here, you can see it live in the field itself. So it's a lot easier to see there. You can see the valve's open, you can see we're pumping the fertilizer, actually water. So he's going to come up, shut the valve, get hooked, and we've now taken care of that planter and it's ready to rock and roll here. As you walk around the booth, you're going to see a lot of display stands. You're going to see a lot of different stands that we have of equipment that we got. But we've talked about the 6 new products. Take some time to work with our white shirts. You're going to see chain roll. It's an amazing product. It's got the ability to come in. How long do you think it takes Mike and his team to eat this whole plant? So, corn on corn. The reason I like it so much, a corn on cornfield has a $100 bill per acre of fertilizer value. So when I look at this, I see the value in this. And so $100, it takes Mike 5 years to eat it. So I challenged our engineering team and said, why are we just using corn heads to harvest? Why don't we put something in like a chain roll? And if we put chain roll in there, it's going to create ability to chain residue. It's 7 inches long. There's a reason it's 7 inches long, but look how it creates chain. And we believe that Mike and his team can eat it twice as fast. So what used to take 5 years is now going to take 2 years. And there's a lot of fertilizer value that we're going to recapture in that. The reason we don't make confetti is because of this right here. If your road cleaners can't clean that playing field and that playing environment, and you lose one plant per 1,007 acres, 7 bushel. Any plant that doesn't grow and doesn't put on an ear is a 7 bushel hit. And so at the proving grounds, we've done side-by-sides last fall of our corn heads. Choppy rolls versus chain rolls. In 100 feet of row, there's 8 ears different. That's going to make quite a difference. So it's all about digesting residue quicker. Take a look at this picture from last fall. The state of Illinois cover crop of choice is corn. You see a lot of corn growing last fall. I saw solid fields of corn. At 360 we said we need to take a yield saver product, brushes on a chain, said can we save 80% of those kernels? And you can see here why. With the bristles in there, we cushion the ear. As the butt of the ear hits the deck plates, we cushion it. Anything that does come loose, we capture. Cushion and capture. And it's made quite a difference. And you can see the response. This is a grower sent me this picture out of his field. He said, Greg, I can't believe the difference. First year I did half the plant, or half the head with yield saver. I left half this deck plates only. And you can see the strips through the field itself. When you look at that, you say, oh my. We're going to have to get those on the rest of the head. Tremendous payback. Behind the bleachers right here, we got a sample. We'll be running out in the field of our bullet on a case ripper, and we can show you what it means to fracture soil. You can see us here ripping this corn on cornfield, and when we take it, and you can look at the video here, look at the mounds behind the case 7-inch point. And you look at those mounds and you say, you and I as grain farmers say, we want root system to utilize 100% of the whole mound. You look at the ripper on the left here that had the bullet. The bullet's a 14-inch point. Yes, it pulls slightly harder, but at the same time you're doing twice the work. And you fracture this out and it makes quite a difference. Look here at the penetrometer on the 7-inch wing point. You can see every 24 inches of shank. You can see the mound. And we put the probe on it. Remember, Penn State says what? That red is 600 PSI on the probe coming through. Penn State says when we get to 100 PSI, roots turn. Roots can't push more than 100 PSI. And so as you look at that, now you can see why my motor gets running pretty good on a bullet for fracturing. Now I'm utilizing all the NP and K. I got a massive root system underneath that plant, and I'm going to take yield to another whole plant. So here's your assignment. I really, really appreciate you coming into 360. This is what I want you to do. My job is to make you nervous. If I haven't made you nervous, then I didn't do it very good. You should know what the weakest link in your farming operation is that you need to fix. What's going to take you another step ahead? If we're going to be in a 320 corn market, a 310, 350, how do you and I raise our families, still pay the bank, still keep everybody happy on the food chain? And so you and I got to look at our own operations and say, what is our weakest link? I don't know what yours is. It might be that you don't plan enough population. It could be you're in the wrong row spaces. It might be you need to add starter to your planter. You might need wide drop. You might need to quit doing all nitrogen down at one time. Maybe you need to raise more soybeans. I don't know. But you better know. Because you and I have to feed our families, and we're going to feed the world, and we need to be profitable, and we need to have fun. You know, I would say this, of all the years I've done meetings, the fun's out of it right now for growers. And I can sense it in you when I talk to you. It's not fun right now. And so you and I got to figure out, not only for our family's sake and our life's sake, but we got to figure out how we're going to have fun raising corn. And so the things I talk about, to me, the things that we can do to take the next step and get better. Spend less and raise more. I believe with all my heart. Thanks.